What lad doesn't dream of being plucked out the stands and playing for the favourite football team? As a young'un, many films catered to this fantasy, watched lazily on a Sunday afternoon, providing the motivation to lace yourself up and get two-footed by that bastard Philip from Three Doors Down. As those halcyon days become distant memories, these films sadly become less relatable, to myself at least. If only there was a football film that catered to alcoholic Yorkshiremen in the mid-30s. Well, what do you know? Yes, today I'd like to talk about When Saturday Comes, which, behind all the cliches, there's a little more to it than meets the eye. I hope you enjoy. When Saturday Comes follows Jimmy Murr, a no-nonsense Sheffielder played by Sean Bean, with supporting roles from Emily Lloyd as love interest Annie and Pete Postlethwaite as his well-meaning coach, Ken. Jimmy is a real lad's lad. When he's not boozing or schmoozing.
Alright, Jimmy.
Aye.
Alright.
Alright, Tina. Yeah,
Alright.
not bad.
He's a wizard on the wing for his local pub team. He's scouted by local semi-professional team, Hallam FC, and... well, you know how this goes. It is a sports film after all. On to the more interesting elements. By heck does this paint a grim picture up north, established by the opening skyline shot and the very first scene, with a young Jimmy talking to his school's careers counsellor.
You've got two choices. You can go down the pit or work in a factory.
Luxury. Oh, we would have dreamed of working down pit. I dare say the scene might seem a little familiar to many a Yorkshireman.
Hard day's work and you don't mind getting dirty. There are good opportunities in mining.
I'm not going down, Pete.
But it seems a little anachronistic, given this is ostensibly 20 years after Kes. Even in the present day, higher education and a job not involving coal or bitter seems like it's a pipe dream in Sheffield.
College?
Yeah, I'm going back to school.
Why?
Fast forward, and Jimmy has taken his earlier career's advice well on board, as we see him rush to clock in at the brewery under the scrutinising gaze of foreman Norman, who has the nerve to ask Jimmy to work and not ogle pear tree tits all day. After meeting an immediately charming Annie, the new payroll clerk, we see the first actual football match of the film and... well...
And he scored! Oh, didn't you do well? You wouldn't have saved that with 2 goalkeepers.
This is probably as good a time as any to segue into the casting, which, for what's evidently a low-budget film, is unusually good. In addition to a smattering of faces who'll be familiar to British viewers, there's 2 clearly outstanding names. Pete Postlethwaite, after his Academy Award nomination for In the Name of the Father, and immediately after his role of Mr. Kobayashi, is commanding as ever as Coach Ken, perfectly portraying a warmth and kindness beneath a gruff exterior. Sean Bean is of course the other, post Goldeneye as well, and while his acting is absolutely fine, look, Sean Bean is the closest I have to a deity as an atheistic Yorkshireman, but he's comfortably 10 years older than what the role dictates. He was 36 at the time of release, and while this could have been believable if he'd been a workable footballer in real life, it's soon clear that he's anything but. His dribbling on the pitch is like the dribble of the pitch drop experiment, and leaves serious concerns about United's scouting network.
He's not much of a team player, but he's fast.
Yeah, I'm sure Dennis Irwin was shitting himself, mate. Jimmy and his mates head to the pub after the match and meet with Jimmy's brother, Russ, donning an outfit that would have you summarily glassed in Sheffield. So at this point you start to notice something's a bit off with the camaraderie and locker room talk, so to speak. I mean, to give an example...
Moves like a bag full of ferrets.
Arse like a bag full of ferrets. I swear that sounds as if it's been edited in as well.
Moves like a bag full of ferrets.
I suppose they couldn't dare leave a line like that out. Although there is a very close runner-up from our Russ.
What? You're pulling me plonker! I don't believe it! When's it for?
After another game where Jimmy dunks on players the wrong side of 50, he's spotted by Hallam FC coach Ken Jackson, who offers him opportunity and wealth beyond the wildest dreams of most Sheffielders.
Football club, we're looking for a good right winger. Pay £12 a match.
It's nice to see these two share a scene again, on slightly more cordial terms than previous.
You can't kill me.
Jimmy impresses at Hallam, enough to earn a trial at Sheffield United. However, what is a sports film without a downfall, and, like Jimmy, When Saturday Comes doesn't do half measures. You see, Jimmy has been teased to have a slight drinking problem, which unfortunately comes to a foaming head during his mate's birthday the night before the big trial. The sensible thing to do would be to order a soft drink, which Jimmy, to his credit, tries with limited success.
Well, what is my business then?
Look, he just wants a Coke. All right, just leave
It's
him.
my business then, eh? What's my fucking business?
Come on. Not in my pub, you don't.
Prompting intervention from Judd, the landlord. Yes, that Judd, seriously.
Well, just smart looking kid, isn't it? Some bird's going to be lucky to eat.
The next sensible thing to do would be to politely refuse your whiskey, mention that tomorrow is the most important day of his life and could change the fortunes of everyone he knows, which I'm sure Jimmy would.
Right, get him in. Let's have another.
Now, there is a reason why he doesn't do this, but keep that in mind for later. Jimmy wakes up, hanging out of his willy and a stripper hanging off his arse, contributing to an already snowballing downfall.
Oh, fucking hell.
I'll quickly summarise what was a very unfortunate 15 minutes for our Jimbo.
You're fired! I'm fucking ecstatic. I don't want it, Annie. I don't want a fucking kid.
You smell like a fucking brewery. You're out, son.
What about that stripper? It's over, Jimmy.
And saving the best until last. Oh no, Russ has died down pit. I mean, this one isn't even Jimmy's fault, it's just really unlucky timing. I think they probably could have kept it a bit lighter and avoided that one, although it does handily complete my bingo card with offensive Yorkshire stereotypes. Died in pit. Bloody hell, it's almost comical. I'll skip ahead, as everyone who's seen a film knows what happens next. Rock bottom, chance of redemption, training montage, reconciliation, and the final challenge, which takes place in the FA Cup against Manchester United. Jimmy's actually signed for Sheffield United now, but there's oddly little fanfare about that, at least to this point. Jimmy makes his debut, there's some flavourful commentary by Martin Tyler.
There's still life in this cup tie! Manchester United were cruising! They're not cruising now!
Jimmy scores the winner, freeze frame, and everyone lives happily ever after. Apart from Ross, who died in pit. Now, this is all well and good. It's your standard sports film with a few tits and swear words sprinkled in for seasoning. Speaking of cursing, you remember the somewhat unusual banter mentioned earlier? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's now where I shock you to your core and reveal that this film, about our beautiful game, was written by a Yank. And, worse still, a woman. Maria Geiss, the writer and director of When Saturday Comes, isn't what you'd call prolific, yet she has the distinction of being one of the most impactful women in Hollywood in recent years. After When Saturday Comes, Geiss was frustrated by the lack of directing opportunities for herself and her talented female peers, and began writing about the systemic issues women face in the film industry, which gathered mainstream attention in the mid-2010s. This evolved into, with the assistance of the American Civil Liberties Union, the largest federal investigation into sexism and job discrimination in Hollywood history. 8 months later, in 2017, on the shoulders of this investigation, the New York Times published the Weinstein Stories, which laid the foundations for, yes, the Me Too movement. So, would you believe this low-budget UK sports film with strip clubs, Sunday League and Ward's Best Bitter was written and directed by one of the most prominent feminist voices of Hollywood in recent years? Knowing this perspective, I think it's worth revisiting Jimmy for a second. You might have heard of the concept of fragile masculinity, defined as an anxiety among some men who feel like they don't live up to the expected standards of manhood. Jimmy is the leader of the group, the real lad's lad, and faces the pressure of keeping up this facade. But as we see from the very start of the film, Jimmy's always been told he's useless, he can't do this, he can't do that. Not just from his teachers, but from his own bitter, gambling-addicted father. Jimmy, despite his bravado, desperately lacks self-belief and confidence, evidence when he begs Russ not to mention his trial at Sheffield United, for fear of failing and losing status within his group and family.
Listen, Russ, about this trial. You don't tell nobody, right? I'd never tell anyone, Jimmy.
So, when's your trial with United?
Yeah?
When's it for, champ?
Yeah, nice one there, Russ lad. Later, when at his mate's birthday, not only is it this lack of self-belief which stops him telling his friends about the trial, but, along with his alcoholism, it's the perceived loss of status within his group that pushes him to the drink and his eventual downfall. And let's be frank, his mate's a twat with all the same fears and insecurities, leading to these rather embarrassing outbursts. Probably the greatest scene in the film is between Jimmy and Ken, where Jimmy is begging for a second chance following the death of Russ. Having known each other from their time in the Royal Shakespeare Company, Postlethwaite and Bean have wonderful chemistry, and it's on full display here. The pinnacle comes when Ken, with his piercing eyes, asks the question underpinning Jimmy's fragile masculinity and wounded self-confidence.
But if you think you can, you tell me why you did it. What? Go on the piss. Why did you go on the piss? You do know, don't you, lad? You do. You're scared, weren't you?
Yeah, well. Not scared anymore.
Alright, I'm being unfair here. While it is a bit sad to see such an impactful scene end on such a crap cliche, we do see him work on these demons and there's some lovely interaction with Ken in the process. In fact, looking back over the script, I've been far more negative about When Saturday Comes than I intended. For all its cliches and heavy-handedness, it's still an enjoyable film to watch on a lazy Sunday afternoon, providing the motivation to lace yourself up and get two-footed by that bastard Nicholas from Four Doors Down. Plus, it's set in Yorkshire, so I'm contractually obligated to say it's one of the greatest films ever written, lest my ferret legging licence ends up revoked.
Like a bag full of ferrets.
Thanks for watching, a more impartial county commentary to follow.